VSP back again. How's it going, guys? Holy moly. Got my glasses on. You ever had one of those moments where you remembered something you bought a while ago and you're like, holy shit, I wonder how it would sound if I did this? Well, I had one of those moments, and it was 3 days ago. And I decided to take advantage of, I don't know, maybe something I bought a while ago. And hook it up to something completely different that I tested it on. And when I say I tested it, what I mean is I listened to it. And I listened to it on many different things, many different sources of power. And I bought them on based on a review that I seen where it was Andrew Robinson, and he had, I don't know, bought them, or maybe they were given to him, I don't know. And he reviewed them as absolute fun. Now, you'll understand why I bought them, other than the fact that like sooner in the video, or later in the video, sorry, but originally he reviewed them really highly. He almost compared them to the Forte 4 by Klipsch. So that's kind of where he had me, you know what I mean? Like, first of all, I don't have a pair of Forte 4 by Klipsch. I have got a lot of Klipsch, don't get me wrong. But I have a fascination with A, this size of speaker, and B, the sound of this size of speaker, if what he was saying is actually real. And generally, Andrew is pretty honest, so I said, yeah, let's do it. So I went on my local, well, not local, I went on my internet, which is not local, it's very global, and I found these speakers, and I don't think they sell well. I don't think they sell well at, 7-8 months ago. I don't think they do. Because they were regular 2,500 Canadian, and they were on for like $9.99 Canadian. And these speakers are the Magnot, or Magnet, however do you want to say it. I think it's not Magnot, because it's N-O-T. Transpulse 1500. So that's like a 15-inch sub speaker. Like, this is a very big box, man. A very big box. But it's not something that I'm not used to. I love the very big box because I have had... Now, we're not going to go into a compare... Yeah, we're going to go into a size comparison, but we're not going to go... Yeah, I guess we can get into a bit of a comparison. I have the JBL CF150s, which is a 15-inch three-way speaker. I've had it, I don't know, forever. It was built in 1990. Do I still have the speaker? Yeah. Do I still use the speaker? Yep. They're my two fronts in my basement theater system. They are, they're punchy. Well, they're not punchy. They're like slammy. You know what I mean? They're like, And then I've collected Cerwin Vega for, years. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not old enough to have bought a AT-15 Cerwin Vega off the shelf. I'm not. My dad was, and he had some. I've also heard the D9. I own some AT-15s. I own some, what the hell are they? VS150 15s. I guess that's the 150. That's how they, well, just like the Transpulse 1500. The 1.5 is definitely saying 15 to me, because even in the JBL, which is an old speaker, which the Cerwin Vegas are an old speaker, and the Transpulse are like brand new. They're German. They're out of Germany, or, they're designed in Germany. I never even heard of Magnot speakers prior to buying these. Anyway, what did I run them on for the first couple of months that I owned them? I ran them on my Pioneer, my SA8800, which is an old, old sound is a warm sound. You know what I mean? It's just a warm AB sound. It's beautiful. It's nice. But it's not you need the DACs and you need the different stuff in order to make it sound somewhat comparable to modern day. And don't get me wrong for the vintage guys, because I'm a vintage guy too. I can appreciate vintage stuff. I think if you want to say that what I ran them on that was the best that was vintage was probably, no, it wasn't probably, it was my Kenwood 90 KA 9100. That was the best vintage piece I ever ran them on. They just sounded so warm. They were just warm and nice. But that's 90 watts of old school power per side. So they were nice. They were loud. They were not obnoxious. They were throaty, like lots and lots of in-your-face bass. They definitely, toe in is a good idea. Their soundstage isn't it's more of a sound presence. You know what I mean? Like a sound presence. Anyway, now I realize I'm not comparing a 15-inch modern day speaker to another one, because these aren't the type of speakers I normally buy unless I'm see some at a garage sale and I'm like, holy shit, man, that's going to be wicked in the garage. Or this, whatever. Because I don't have Serwin Vega in my garage. Or in my house, sorry. I did for the longest time, but never a 15-inch. It was just way too much. The JBLs, they're different. They're not a party speaker, you know what I mean? They were a nice sounding speaker. But then I had this epiphany. And the epiphany was, and whatever, you can think of it, whatever. I've got the Paradigms upstairs with the RZ50, and, they're 6 ohm. They're older. They're 25 years old. And I was like, I walked downstairs. I was going to do some laundry, and I just took a look over, and there's those old Transpulses just sitting there. And I was just like, wow, I wonder what those would sound like upstairs hooked to a Class D AVR, which has plenty of power. I'm running very small surround speakers, so my fronts are open. They're maybe they're not open to the full 120 watts that these speakers or this amplifier can provide, but they are open. Maybe to 100 watts. And I find the Onkyo is actually quite punchy for it's very well implemented, for its price. I mean, the RZ50 is definitely, I bet dollar for dollar, pound for pound, it's probably one of the better AVR receivers out there. It just is. And I'm a Pioneer guy, and and then there's Integra. I would love an Integra, like an 8.4 Integra. I'd love to hear that sucker. But I just can't seem to find them anywhere. Nor, when I need to replace my Pioneer downstairs, it's gonna have an Integra. It's definitely gonna have an Integra. The 8.4, who knows? Maybe there'll be something else by then. Anyway, back to the Transpulse. I moved them upstairs. And I watched TV with them. Yep, I did. I watched YouTube. I watched a movie. I listened to some music. And they had the similar response as they did downstairs. Because I hooked them up to my big 220 watt per side amplifier. And I'll be honest, if you're adding another 100 watts to a speaker, what are you getting? 3, 4 dB? And they pounded. Oh my God, did they pound. And they sounded great. Well, not great, but I mean, they sounded great. Well, they sounded great. They sounded great for what they were, you know? Like they're not like Clips R7 III where they got that snap, that snap, that snap. But they've got way more bass. Do you know what I mean? Way more bass. Um, but I mean, I like snap. I like quick. I like detailed. I like, like listening downstairs is completely different than listening upstairs. And even watching movies downstairs is complete. Well, there's 11 speakers downstairs listening. Upstairs, it's more of very small surrounds, and two. Now, well, even the paradigms were big. They're very big. They're taller than the Transpulse. Not nearly, they've only got 8-inch subs in them. But all I've got to say is what a warm, little bit of toe in, a warm, deep voice movie. Um, Definitely intelligible because they got that little horn there, and then they got that 6-inch mid. Just a great theater experience upstairs, and very, very intelligent. Like very nice. I was very, very pleased with them. I'm listening to them right now. I just actually had a nap and woke up at midnight and jumped in the shower. I don't know when I fell asleep, probably 9 by accident. Jumped up and got in the shower and came down here, and I was like, God, I got to say something about these Transpulse. It's been a few days since I've been running them, and I totally forgot about them. Like, I swear to God, I haven't turned these things on in like 3 months. Well, that's not totally forgetting, but you know what I mean. They're just sitting there. And some guy had mentioned them on one of my videos. Is that a T1500? And I'm like, yeah, man. He goes, do you like them better than the Klipsch? And I'm like, I like them different than the Klipsch. Are they perfect? No. And that's what I like about speakers. Because if you're into measuring speakers, well, then you got more money than I do. Because or at time, I don't have a lot of time. I'm a business owner, so I'm busy. That's probably why I fell asleep, because I was tired. It was a long week, and it's going to be hotter than hell's asshole tomorrow. Anyway, having a great time with the Transpulse upstairs under Class D power, integrated, or not integrated, sorry, AVR. And yeah, just a little experiment. I thought they're so, oh my God, I had to go up 2 flights of stairs with these sons of guns, and they're big, man. Like, you want to talk awkward? Yeah, awkward. So I had one of my guys over. He's just a kid, and I said, "Okay, my leg's screwed, and he knows it." I said, "It doesn't matter. I can still lift and do whatever. I'm still strong as an ox, but my leg is screwed. So going backwards up the stairs is like, yeesh, that's tricky." But him, no, he's a kid. He did that like no problem. So we just got him up into my upstairs, and I said, "Thank you very much." I give him a ride home, and then I installed him later, and that was a couple 3 days ago. Anyway, would I buy these again? I don't know, because they sat there for so long. Now, because I swap speakers around the house now more than ever, because those paradigms were sat there for 20 years. And I was like, okay, you got your shot. I'm going to try something different. I felt really kind of weird unhooking them. I felt weird unhooking them from the Pioneer that was there. I didn't really feel weird about like they've gone through, I don't know, 4 amplifiers in 20 years. And the RZ50 is the 4th. And I like the RZ50. I really do. And I didn't know. Whatever. Like, you know what I mean? All it is 5 minutes work to get them upstairs and maybe a few minutes to install them. And, Bob's your uncle, right? So anyway, that's the Transpulse T1500. if anyone were to buy these, this is what I would expect. They're paper, and paper makes a fucking beautiful sound. I do have a sub upstairs. Sure I do. When I listen to Pneuma by Tool as a musical kind of test, which I probably listened to about 8 times. Well, I listened to the whole album, really. But Pneuma is one of my faves. Very warm. Not a whole shit ton of detail, but very warm. But you got to remember, too, I'm in a surround sound setting. Like, I went to stereo, full channel stereo, full this, full that. I like the sound of an AVR with surround. I do. I like the sound of an AVR with surround and music. I do. I love the sound of my integrateds, with 2 speakers. I love it. But in a home theater setup, it's doing like spectacular. You know what I mean? And they're huge. So they have a presence. They look really big. And guy walked in my house there today. He had his dog, Ace, little pit bull, and I've got a little pit bull. And when I say little, I mean like red nose, blue nose little, which is like a medium-sized pit bull. And Chloe just loves Ace. Chloe just, she's so much faster than Ace because Ace is such a big, bulky muscle dog. And they just played around there, and he looked at those speakers, and he's like, holy fuck, where did you get those? And I'm like, oh, they're just one of the many things I own that I've been testing out. And he goes, cool. But James isn't really the type of guy who wants to hear music. He's like 30 years old, and he's more into girls. And that's okay with me. Anyway, Transpulse T 1500 by Magnot. Yeah, I'd buy them again. I'd buy them in a different color, though, because they're the blondish, light-colored ones. I'd like the darker color. But I didn't even really know what I was getting when I bought them because they only had one color. I didn't know there was 2. But there we go. That's my video. Have a great day, guys. Even though it's tonight, we're going on Sunday tomorrow, and it's supposed to be hot as hell. So I'm looking forward to that.